Good evening, fabulous parents. I normally every year start doing these videos the beginning of the year and just kind of do them every couple of weeks just to kind of keep everybody posted on what's going on in the classroom, how things work in their classroom, anything anybody needs to know coming up. And I apologize. I had a busy start of the school year with other things with my own kids, and I did not get these out. So I'm taking the time to do this now to kind of clear up any ideas about, how we do things or questions about how things work in our classroom to kind of set the stage. And then I'll talk about a couple of things that are coming up that you need to be aware of. So, first things first, I am spending this year trying to prepare your students for junior high and high school. And in doing that, basically we have, and I think you've probably seen these, we have agendas. I ordered them specially for 6th grade. They're the only ones that use agendas and instead of the yellow slips, because I want them to have a calendar so they can keep track of everything that's going on in their lives. And I want them to have, they've got several pages of reference tools, like formulas that we use in math, rules for grammar, there's science facts, there is a world map with all the countries and how to spell them and where they're at. So it's a really great reference tool for the kids in 6th grade. And I also spend time with them in class, especially at the beginning of the month, of each month, and we map out what is happening that month. Now, I keep the major assignments like the geography test, the poem recitations, and the book reports. I keep them on a specific schedule so it's easy to remember for the kids. So if your child is telling you that they don't remember that they had a poem or they didn't remember that they had a geography test, that's not necessarily true, because we spend time as a class going over the month ahead and writing in the dates for each of these items and anything else that's coming up. So they should have all those things written down, including our field trip that's coming up, when our Halloween party is or our fall party is. So they should have all those things written down and they should be referring to them. I also encourage them to take their outside activities, like their sports or their dance, their tumbling, or their piano or their art or whatever it is that they're working on outside of school, and put those dates in there too, so that they can kind of manage their time and their week to get those things covered. So it's a great time management tool, and I'm hoping that it'll help them prepare for junior high, where they don't just have one class with all subjects, but they have multiple classes with different subjects. So I'm hoping that if they can get that down this year, that next year will be a lot easier for them to manage all of that. That being said, I try to keep the dates for the geography test, the poem, and the book report all, that's what I'm looking for, all uniform. So unless we have like a fall break or something that kind of changes things, usually the geography test is on the second Wednesday of the month. All the tests are on Wednesday, all the major tests. So the geography test, or the major assignments. Geography test is usually the second Wednesday. Poem recitations is the third Wednesday, and the book report is always the final Wednesday of the month. That worked out pretty well for this month. We had 2 weeks, the beginning of the month, where we had break, but we had 5 Wednesdays, so we just ended up shifting them all down one. So the book report is still due on the last Wednesday of the month. Poem will be due this week, and last week was a geography test. So they should remember that, because we've been doing it that way for multiple months now, and I keep it the same unless there's some kind of break that kind of throws it off. And then we'll kind of address that when it happens. But if it's just a normal month, then we're going to go ahead and keep it that way so it's easy to remember. And for you parents also to remember. Second Wednesday, geography test. Third Wednesday, poem recitations. Fourth Wednesday, book reports. Okay? So, hopefully that's helpful. Let's talk about homework really quick. They should be doing, I think according to the parent handbook, it's like 50 to 60 minutes. So 50 minutes to an hour of homework for 6th grade. I don't give them that much homework typically. They are supposed to break their long-term assignments down into little pieces so they can study them each week to add up. So like their geography tests are supposed to break it down to 2 or 3 countries, every week to learn so that they have them all down. Poems, same thing. We break it down into so many stanzas so that they learn it all by the time that it's due. Homework, the main part of homework is math. And the reason why it's math is because math is a main factor of what they're learning this year. It is hard math, but they will be successful at it if they keep up with what we're asking them to do. If they're paying attention in class, they're learning, they're asking questions if they don't understand, and if they're doing the homework, because the homework is where they practice all of the concepts that we do in class. We teach and then we practice together, and then they take it home and they practice. And Saxon is great because it is a spiraling, which means that in their homework each day, they'll have problems on what we learned that day and problems on what we learned the day before and the day before and the day before, so that they can keep practicing it until they master it. So it's like little reminders. And that is why we assign it every day. The only day that they will not have 30 problems in math is either a day when we're not there, like on a field trip day, or on Wednesdays we take our math tests, and they have a power-up worksheet that day, which prepares them. It has the same concepts on it that will be on their power-up test the following week. So they do want to review that. And it's usually some kind of facts or fractions or equivalents, and then it's a problem solving, which is basically the same thing that's on their test the following week. So we really do try to prepare them and give them every opportunity to learn and practice these concepts before we test them on them. And the tests are actually like 15 lessons behind what we're learning. So they have time to learn it and practice it and get it down before we test them on it. That being said, our recommendation and our expectation is that they do the 30 problems every night. If your child is coming home and telling you, I don't have homework or I already did it all, they're selling you a story. We do give time to start their homework in class. It depends on how hard the lesson is or how long it takes to teach it and to get everybody to where we're all understanding it, because I want to make sure that that's the case before I send them home. I try to answer all the questions. I try to do lots of practice. I try to be free for them during their homework time to come up and go over things with me if they need help. I'm there and available for that. Usually their practice time can be anywhere from like 10 minutes. Their homework start 10 minutes to 20 minutes. Depends on, like I said, how well the lesson goes, how fast it goes. So they do have a little bit of time to get started. And then I usually try and go over the first 5 questions with them and give them the answers so that they can see if they got it, if they're on the right track, or if they need to figure something else out. And then I can go over it with them. So I do as much as I can to help them get the concept down and feel like they're doing it. However, at home is where most of their practice is going to take place. And my expectation is, and I know I'm sounding all, I'm a teacher, but really, I just letting you know, my expectation is that that they're going home and they're doing all the problems, and then they're getting either a parent or an older sibling to go over the ones that they feel like they're struggling with or that they have questions on at home. They should also be bringing home their agendas, which has reference on it. And if they're really struggling, then they should be bringing their notes home that we take. We take notes on every lesson that gives them the basic formulas or the steps that they need. So if they're really struggling, they can bring home their math notebook and look it over again. Also, just a little helpful hint, on every problem, in little parentheses underneath the number of the problem is another number, and that is the number of the lesson that teaches you the concept. And so they have been taught that they can go back if they still don't get it or they can't remember. They go to that number lesson and just do a quick review so they remember, oh yeah, that's the formula for the area of a triangle. And then they go back and they work on it. So whatever they've got to do to refresh their brains, to get the problems down, practice them, and feel like they understand them and are doing them correctly. Okay, I understand little mistakes happen. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that they really understand the process and they can get it right. It's not just a decimal placement, or it's not just they misadded one thing. But do they really understand the process? And that's what I'm looking for, because then if they do, that's another tool in their belt to help them be able to do all those kinds of problems and apply it to other things. I tell them that up to this point, they have worked for math. They've learned to work math. This year, they are learning to make math work for them. And I've got a pen in my hand, and I know I keep waving it. I talk a lot with my hands. So, and they'll tell you that. They like to kind of make fun of me for that reason, but it is who I am, and we do like to have fun, and we do laugh in our class. I want you to know that I love your kids. I grew up with 4 brothers, so I get boys. I have 3 girls. I get girls, and I love this age. Even though they can kind of raise my blood pressure, I still absolutely enjoy spending time with them, seeing the light bulbs go off in their head, seeing them dance around a little bit and be happy in class. That is my goal, for them to be happy, to feel successful, and to learn. So we do a lot of fun things, and I try to make it interesting and fun for them, so that it goes more smoothly than just a really dry, this is the way things are. So I will joke around, or I'll use a funny song, or I'll do a poem, little poem to help them remember, or I'll use an example that's silly to help them remember. And they can tell you I do that all the time. But bottom line, homework should be checked. That's, in their agenda is on the week that they're on, they should be writing their homework out so that they know what they're doing. And then on the end of the row, there's a little place for parent initials. So if you're initialing that, which you should be doing, then you should have been able to check their work to make sure that they're doing it all. And if they have any problems or questions, that you're kind of going over it with them. Okay? Photomath is an app. You can do a free version of it. Sometimes you can take a picture of a problem. If you guys are feeling a little rusty on some of the problems, you can take a picture of it, and it will usually solve it for you and show you how to solve it and give you the answers. You can look over the lesson with them. If ChatGPT is great for checking. Obviously, I don't recommend it for doing homework, but for checking their homework, just to make sure that they are understanding it. It's not so much about whether they got it right. It's, do they understand how to do it? And so sometimes, the right answer is an indication of that. But if they are working it out and showing you their work, that should give you an indication of whether they really understand it, as opposed to they're just putting a number down and where did you get that number at, kind of thing. But I appreciate your help at home with that, because between you going over them with them, just to make sure they're doing them and getting things right, or going over hard ones, if you don't have the ability to do that, I've also told them that they can come to me before school starts, and I will go over it with them. Or during that little bit of homework time that I get them started, they can also come up to me and say, I'm really having a hard time with this concept, and I will help them. I will always help them, within my ability to do that in our schedule. So that's homework. They're going to have it every day. The other homework that they have besides math is spelling, and it's usually 2 times each. Not a hard thing, but our words are a little bit harder, and we do have the countries of the world. So my expectation is that they're paying attention whenever I'm giving them the word, and we're talking about its part of speech, what it means, and how to spell it, breaking it down for spelling rules and stuff, and that they're paying attention when they're writing them 2 times each in their agenda. Because sometimes it's a little bit harder and they have to remember special things. Like in the word debt, there's no B that you can hear, but there's a B in there. So those types of things they need to pay attention to. So they might have to spend just a little bit more time on their spelling, but not much. They don't have a lot of spelling. I do that on purpose. They're all pretty good spellers, but I do it because I'm not trying to overload them, because I want them to be able to spend the time they need on math. So that's how that works in 6th grade. I won't go on because I know it's getting lengthy. A couple things you need to be aware of. We are working on country reports right now. We're doing most of it in class. So I will be working with them. I asked them to, they needed 2 books and a website. And most of the kids chose countries where I had books in my library, so they have their 2 books. If you have one of the kids, I think there's 3 of them that only have 1 book because they want a specific country that I didn't have 2 books for, their responsibility is to get another book. I gave them ideas of what series is a good series for what they need. It can't be a picture book. It has to have data in it about the country so that they can use it for their report. I recommended that you guys go on either Amazon or Thrift Books, ThriftBooks, and you buy a used one in the Enchantment of the World or Cultures of the World series for their country. Usually they're $5-6. I think maybe tops I've seen is like 10. If you need to get another book, I would recommend that. Going to the library is harder because they may or may not have books that you need, and you can only have them for 2 weeks, and we'll be working on this report for the next 6 weeks. But if that's what you want to do, that's okay too. But I just think it's easier to find a used book and have it, and I say Amazon because they're usually pretty fast at getting it to you. They need to have their 2 books and their website by this Friday, because we've already started working on the outline. The website is www.cia.gov/ I think it's world/factbook /. They were supposed to write it in their agenda, so you can double check with them. But I asked them and I showed them, I went to the website, I showed them how to find their country. You page down and you type in their country, and then when you get on that page, they can look around. There's maps, there's pictures, there's information, but they need to go down to the atomic, it looks like an atomic star or like an atom, and you click on that, and it has fact book. I think it's either fact book or fast facts. I'm not sure. I think it's one of the 2. You click on that, and it gives you all the facts, like the area of the country, the geography, the population, religions, cultures, different groups of people, ethnicity groups. Those are all things that they're gonna need, and it just bam, 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 bam lists it. It's usually about 2 pages long, so I've asked them to find that and then print that off. And it can be in black and white, but they need to print it off so that they can use that, because that has a lot of the books that we have are a little older, so that print off will give them current population data, current area data, because we all know that kind of changes over time, especially for countries like Africa, where they're kind of combining and breaking apart and doing all those things still. So that has to be in by Friday. And I've had some of kids that listen to me, and they've already got them at their desks. Wonderful. Thank you for that, for having kids that are responsible. If your child has not done that, please help them to get on the website, go through the steps, and print that off so they can have it by Friday, because they're going to need it for their research. Between the 2 books and the website, that will give them what they need. So I've asked for that, but we are going to keep the books in class, and we're going to keep their website in class, and we're going to be taking it steps at a time to do this report. So you shouldn't have to worry about that other than printing off that information from the website, because I will be taking care of a lot of the other stuff. And then as we get closer, we'll talk about the culture fair where you're invited and they share their country, and that's a lot of fun. But right now we're working on the report. There's a field trip coming up on Thursday. We're going to the Musical Instrument Museum, which is amazing, and it goes along with what we're learning, because we're learning about different ancient civilizations. So we get to go and take a tour of different continents and the countries and the different kind of musical instruments and music that they have, which it's pretty fascinating. And then we book a little extra workshop where a man who's amazing comes in, and everybody gets a djembe drum, and we all sit around in a circle, and he teaches them how to do different drumming techniques on these. I think it's a djembe drum. Anyways, it's really fun. The kids love it. And then they learn the gumboot dance from Africa, and they do a little dance. They follow somebody and teaches them how to do that. So it's a lot of fun. And then they get to do a hands-on where they play lots of different instruments, like gongs and what do they call it? Zither, where it's like it's sound waves. But anyways, they get to do all kinds of things. So they're going to love it. Please have them bring a sack lunch that's completely throwawayable. I don't know how else to say that. So don't bring a nice bag. Don't bring a nice water bottle, just a plastic one or a juice box, and everything that can be thrown away when they're done with it. Because we're going to go eat at the park afterwards, I believe, after our tour. And so they need to be able to throw away their stuff. Please don't have them bring watches, phones, expensive cameras, because we don't want to have them lose them and then be sad about it. We're not going to hit the gift shop, so they don't need any money. They'll be busy the whole time, and they'll be having fun. So, and we'll take pictures and video, and we'll share it with you. So looking forward to that. And then the other thing I need to let you know, if you're still with me, I know it's been like over 20 minutes. I'm trying to wrap up here. Is we're going to do a fall free for all. That's going to be our party. It's next week on the 31st, aka Halloween, but we're going to do a fall theme, and we have lots of fun things planned and some yummy snacks planned. And I will be sending out that sign up for volunteers and items here in just a little bit, so that we appreciate your help on that as well. So we do so many fun things. I just need to let you know. I don't tell you all the stuff we do, but we've made our Egyptian death masks, which they're going to take home next week. We've made cartouches with our names. We've learned hieroglyphics. We've learned about mummies. We've learned about different religions. We've learned about history. And we just had a lot of fun in general. We've made oil lamps when we were in Mesopotamia. We're going to be doing ancient India next week. And we're going to be doing some of the things, we're going to be learning about some of those beliefs and some of the things that we get from them. We always talk about some lasting contributions from those countries that we still have nowadays. So we'll be doing some of those things, and then we'll be going into ancient Rome after that. So we have a lot of fun, and we learn a lot. So, and I'm having a great time with your kids. They're wonderful, and they are so smart, and they're responsible. So if they've been keeping up with everything we've been doing without all of me giving all this information to you, I appreciate that. They are really, really good helpers, and they're super smart and inquisitive, and I'm loving my time with them. And hopefully they're enjoying their class too. I think that's about it. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to shoot me a text on Remind. I get that the fastest, and I'm happy to help, to answer any questions, or if you have any concerns, or, you just want to tell me, hey, they're having a hard day, or they forgot this, or whatever. I'm always willing to help and support where I can. And I appreciate your support at home. And I'm going to wrap it up and say have a wonderful evening. Any questions on anything I've gone over, just let me know. We'll talk to you later, and thanks for all you do. Bye.